Hi everybody, we're here with our next pop-up talk, the second to last, the penultimate, with Kerstin Okubo. Go.
Hi everyone, I'm going to be talking today actually tagging off of teacher development and teacher empowerment, which has been the focus of most of our talks today. I'm going to be flipping that and talking about student empowerment a little bit. And I want to talk primarily about English-only policies in the classroom, because this is something that we all deal with on a grand scale at every level. We're teaching English, and to what extent do we enforce an English-only policy in the classroom? And what I find is interesting is most people that I talk to, most teachers and students, are very, very familiar with a complete English-only policy. We come at our students from sort of this deficiency model where we feel like they need to really just focus on filling that English deficiency as much as possible in the classroom, so we enforce an English-only policy. But today I want to tell you about what I do in my classroom, which is a little bit different. I usually start out at the beginning of the year by asking my students about English-only policies, and if they were the teacher, what would their policy be? So I flip it onto them first, and by and large they come up with these really strict, severe policies. If we use our first language, we have to pay $1, or there's some sort of reprimand or something for them using their first language. This is what they're used to in their previous contexts. So I tell them, okay, so my policy on using English in the classroom is, I want you to use English in the classroom, that's what you're here to do, but there are three situations in which I will allow you to use your first language. Firstly, if you are encouraging a student who is in a little bit of a bind and can't get their words out, you can encourage them in your L1 if you share that L1 with that student who's struggling. Secondly, if you've been put into an activity and clearly someone in your group or your partner doesn't understand the instructions, in an effort to move that activity along, you can quickly switch into your L1, explain what it is you need to do, and just get on with it. And the third instance is if I ever ask you to use your L1. And the students kind of look at each other like, well, when would she ever ask it? That's really odd, I don't understand. And I tell them, just you wait, because the opportunities will come up. So what I tend to do is throughout the course, throughout the year, there are opportunities as we're having whole class discussions when we're looking at either pragmatic situations or sort of intercultural situations where I'll ask students, okay, well, how would you go and ask your instructor if you could hand in your homework a day late? How would you actually do that in your first language? I want you to role play it for everybody now. You're the instructor, you're the student. Do it in Spanish. And they kind of stand up and they goof around a little bit, but then they act it out in Spanish, and everyone laughs and they have a really fun time with it. And then I ask them to translate what they said, and then I'll ask another couple of students to do that, and a couple of Japanese students to get up and do that. And they're bowing to each other. There's all sorts of things going on. And when we unpack what they actually did, we can have a look at how these situations are different, and then that leads in nicely to, well, how do we do this in English? What's the most appropriate way to go and ask your instructor to do this in an English situation? So there's that opportunity right there. Secondly, intercultural awareness of times when the students are sort of dealing with cultural differences. I have students talk about how do you greet your classmates in your home country. And again, the Portuguese-speaking students, they go up and they hug and they kiss, and there's a lot of sort of interaction. The Chinese students, apparently they ask each other, have you eaten yet, is a big thing. So when they translate what they actually do in these situations, we get down to sort of the cultural aspects in how they interact in these situations. And this just kind of raises awareness in terms of how people do things in different cultures with their language. And then in this sort of intercultural classroom situation, how are they then interacting with students from other cultures? And we're able to have that discussion. And we're able to have that discussion with the students as an authority on their own culture, not with me telling them how the other cultures do it or how we do it in English. So in the end, this really just empowers the students to be the authority on their own language. They break away from this sort of deficiency model English bit, and it just really empowers the students. And it's fun. Thank you.
Thank you very much.